Right, now every election brings along new parties who want to give it a go. A teaser marketing campaign recently featured a purple cow. It was followed by the launch of the Capitalist Party of South Africa, or ZACP. It claims that a smaller state, more scope for business is the only way to fix South Africa's economic woes. To discuss, we're joined by one of the candidates to be an MP, if the party gets enough votes, of course, Katlego Mabusela. Katlego, welcome.
Thank you.
Why the purple cow? Let's start with that.
Well, there are a number of reasons, two in particular. The first is that the purple cow, or at least the color purple itself, is a color that speaks to wealth. Right, and if you look at the cow as a symbol, as an icon, I mean, as far back as you can go in terms of African culture in particular, it is also a symbol of wealth. So what we are talking about is that, look, we need to take our country in particular back to a place where wealth is a priority. And how do we do that? Well, we've identified 10 real key problems that we want to bring solutions to. And we're taking an entrepreneurial sort of view on things and saying, look, the first thing we know about entrepreneurship is this: you have to identify a problem, then you have to come up with a solution for the problem, and then you have to implement the problem, and then you have to be held accountable.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for some of your solutions, but first, even your name, Capitalist Party, you've chosen something, I mean, capitalist, something of a dirty word in this country. Why did you do that?
I think capitalism is a dirty word in lots of countries, and it's about time we take away the demonizing of the word capitalism. By its nature, a capitalist adds value. A capitalist creates jobs. A capitalist creates systems that are self-sustaining and profitable. And I think it's about time that we are able to have a conversation as South Africans about that, and possibly globally as well, and say there really isn't anything wrong with capitalism. There is good capitalism and there's bad capitalism. Primarily, bad capitalism takes advantage of people. Good capitalism creates value, it creates sustainable value.
But a lot of those capitalists are just waiting for the gaps, for the lack of regulation. I mean, you're talking about a smaller state. And maybe that word has become dirty with good reason when we've seen the scandals, not only in the public sector, but in the private sector. And it seems like when there's financial high fiddling, there's never justice. Look at Steinhoff.
Fair enough, right? So even though we're arguing for a smaller state, you have to understand that we've identified 10 problems. And if you go to our website, you'll see what those 10 problems in particular are. At any given point, we're going to be held accountable. There's always going to be corruption at all levels. Not necessarily to say that that's something we embrace, no, but we understand that there is a reality in governance. There is a reality in trying to solve problems. And part of that reality is that there will be corrupt elements. So do we anticipate that that won't exist? No. And we're prepared for that. And we'll handle that as and when the time requires us to.
On a maybe technical level, sure. I'm not an economist, but a lot of thinkers are seemingly talking about a third way, a different way, where we don't polarize people into these two extremes of you're a capitalist or you're a socialist. We look at different models like the Nordic model, where there's social nets for the poor, but business can do its own thing, or allowing workers to share in the profits, to get shares of companies. Are you not putting yourself in a corner by calling yourself the capitalist?
I would argue that we're not. And the reason I would say that, and naturally that was going to be my response, right? I was going to say, yes, we're putting ourselves in a corner. but here's why I'd say that. When we sat and decided this was a decision we're going to take, we said we have to be solutions orientated, right? What we are not married to is theology or philosophy or any idea in particular, except solutions provision. Let us find solutions to real issues that our country is facing. And when we do find those solutions, let's make sure that they're actually implemented. So the idea of capitalism, I know, is a very big idea. And it evokes a lot of emotions.
Well, is South Africa not a capitalist country, really?
Good question. You answer that for me.
Well, we are seen to be, but you know, when RDP was replaced with gear, a lot of people have looked at that and said there was in fact a problem because there was growth, but that growth didn't create jobs. There's this disconnect. Capitalism often leads to the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer.
And again, that takes us back to bad capitalism. And when you brought out corruption as one of the elements that contribute to creating bad capitalism, that is what the net result of it is. And it would be I'd say foolish. I don't know if I can use that word on television, but I'd say foolish for us to discredit a whole system, a whole way of thinking purely on the basis of one element. If we handle and deal with that particular element, we'll be able to implement the good parts of capitalism. And I don't think we should throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Okay, so if we had embraced good capitalism, would things have changed when it comes to Eskom?
Well, I guess we're all in the dark about that one right now, right? We would argue
Give
that
us your solution. I'm giving you a chance to campaign.
Listen, what I'm not going to do is speak on what we have not necessarily pronounced on as a party. It isn't my place to do so. But what I will say is that possibly we would have had a better scenario. And that's where I'll leave it.
Okay. Looking at your core values, liberty, equality, fraternity, it sounds like you were inspired by the French Revolution.
We're inspired by a lot of things.
Equality is a big one, though, and that's number 2 on your list.
Sure.
Many people would say that inequality became entrenched in this country because of apartheid, jobs and positions, wealth creation, avenues of wealth creation were blocked for many people. So what do you think of BEE?
What does the party think of BEE? And my answer will simply be this, and I'll keep it very short because you can go to our website and have a more in-depth sort of read of where we stand on the position. But simply put, we believe that individuals have the capacity and the propensity to create their own future and their own destiny. They should be given that. And I'm a young black man. I'm a 32-year black South African. So obviously, in many ways, I've benefited from partly the struggle and the overcoming of that struggle that those that came before me did. And of course, at some level, there must be a degree of BEE that I've benefited from, right? But in terms of self-actualization and the ability to create my own value and create my own impact in my country, my community, and the rest of the world, I suppose, we'd fully embrace that. And we'd be going down a bad path if we start to take that away. So we believe in the individual. And we say the individual should be empowered. Yes.
Does that mean no BEE, Katlego?
If you go to the website, you'll find the answer to that.
Okay,
but simply put, to answer you very frankly, we don't believe necessarily that BEE is the solution to the problem. And like I said, when we approach everything, we go back to what is the challenge? And then we explore all the possible issues, or at least possible solutions that we could have. We've tried BEE. Has BEE worked? No. In fact, in many situations, it's created an elitist situation where we have a minority within the majority, if you'd call it that, who have political privilege and have access. And as a result of that, they have empowered themselves and enriched themselves. And those that were meant to benefit from BEE aren't benefiting.
So final question, how would South Africa change for the good if we embraced capitalism?
Here's what you'll have. You'll have a number of individuals with a different skill set. We're not politicians. If you look at our candidates list, we are not politicians. What we are is entrepreneurs, and an entrepreneur by its nature solves problems. And we invite all others who'd like to solve South Africa's problems and not get caught up in the romance, not get caught up in politics, but get caught up in solving real problems with real solutions and making sure that we take South Africa to where it was envisaged 25 years ago.
All right, thank you very much. Katlego Mabusela, candidate for MP at the ZACP, that is the Capitalist Party of South Africa. Thank you very much.